Truway TV, your #1 Christian Bible-based online television channel. You are watching Truway Television.
Greetings viewers at home, welcome to the very first show of Becoming a Barrier Breaker with me, Nyeleti Munisi. I'm going to be taking you through a journey of healing. I'm going to be taking you through a journey of restoration. I'm going to claim back broken dreams, killed visions, and you know, the vessels of God who are now sitting at home and they're saying, we no longer want to serve, we no longer want to do anything. I am here to tell you that I want to take you back to Kana with me, a place that God spoke to me at some point, and he said to me, Kana, it's a place of restoration. I know that when I mention a barrier, and more especially when I say a breaking barrier, one says, how am I going to do that? After the break, I'm going to take you through what we can expect in this show. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be emotional at some point, but stay with me. We are going to heal together. I'll see you after this.
You are watching Truway Television.
Welcome back to your healing show, Becoming a Barrier Breaker. You know, I just want to take you through, firstly, when did I receive this phrase, barrier breaker? And you know, funny, at the time when I received this phrase, I thought it doesn't exist, and God does this to me because maybe He knows sometimes I'll be like, I'm doubting a little bit. So it was sometime last year. I was in prayer preparing for the year. I did not even know what was going to happen in that year. And God said to me, the word for this year. So I say all the time, God, I don't go before your people until you give me a word. I don't care what I'm going to do there. Give me something to say to them. So I'm preparing for the year, and I knew that I'm going to be having services throughout the year. And he said to me, the term for this year, it's barrier breaker. And I woke up and I'm like, we are now ready for the year, not knowing what the term barrier breaker meant. I tell you, when I speak about barrier breaking, you know, sometimes you'll think about, you know, the hard walls that you have to go and push. You are thinking about, you know, that there's somebody who will come in and build something. Viewers, I have news for you. When we speak about barriers that needs to be broken, you and I could simply be talking about issues of mental health. You and I could just be speaking about a simple thing of healing. I did not know at the time that, you know, when you have not yet healed, there is a barrier that is in front of you that will not enable you to get to the other side. I will tell you this. So I took it upon myself to just go look up just the word barrier. And there are some heavy words there because it's a material formation or a structure such as a mountain range, not a mountain range or a wall that prevents a passage or access. And at the time I was ready to go host women in last year. It was not yet the Barrier Breaker Network that it is. Thank God we are here today. But I was just ready to go and host them because it had been laid into my heart that year after year you will have conferences where you speak to women and you align issues. And again, it is something that I would just ask God, what do we talk about? And I started now dealing with the barrier breaker. What is this barrier breaker? What am I breaking? And we must not make this mistake. When God gives you a word, you think that it's for other people. I had to pause and think about myself. And the biggest mistake you will make is that when God says it's healing and you're thinking you want to run and you go heal people, before you run and you go heal people, ask yourself, do I need healing? I had so many barriers which I have dealt with before I got to the woman that I am today. At the time, I did not know that I was breaking barriers. At the time when I had to fight issues of abuse at a very young age, you know, getting into relationships, having all sorts of things that I needed to deal with. And I was dealing with them in seclusion, in private. No one knew the kind of things that I was dealing with. And at the time I thought, let me just deal with this thing so then I can get to becoming a better person. After one thing, there would be another one. And at that time I did not understand that God was preparing me for something. And he spoke to me, he says, take women on a journey. At the time, women, get this. Take women on a journey. Let them know that where they are, it's not just about them. When we speak about breaking a barrier, it's not just about you. And again, a barrier breaker, you need to understand that it's a person who must be very stubborn, in not just in nature. It could be you stubborn emotionally, you stubborn in faith, but there has to be a certain part of you where you are called, where you will say, not with my generation. And he says, take them into a journey of healing. But for them to heal, they need to know that there is this thing that is in front of them. What they need to heal from has been a barrier that they need to just push, because it's not just about them here. There's a generation that comes after you. I don't know if you've thought about it. The one thing that you have been struggling about, have you ever taken inventory of your life and you ask, in my family, who else has had to deal with this? If no one dealt with it before you, who is dealing with it at the time as you are dealing with it? Because it could be something that is beginning right on your generation. Things begin at every generation, right? And then as I was going through the term and I was learning all of this, I put together, the conference. Funny enough, I learned that not only women have barriers to deal with. I am called for women, but I had to deal with men saying, that thing when you speak about it, it gets to me, it touches me. There were times which God had to make me come across with labor pains, new wine, possible, and hope. Anyone who says they want to become a barrier breaker, they need to look up these 4 words. Anyone who's asking themselves, why barrier breaker? Why would you stand up and say you want to fight something that you did not even begin? You're not just doing it for you. You're doing it for a generation that comes after you. But I have come up with a way, because in the next couple of weeks we're going to go through different chapters of barrier breaking. There are things which I will bring in different guests in this show. I don't want to bring in one person. I have learned that I may have gone through troubles in abuse, and someone else went through troubles in a curse in a family. Somebody is trying to get through a barrier of employment in their family. So I'll be bringing in different guests every time. They will take us through this journey. They will tell us what was their barrier that they needed to overcome in their lives, where they are. But as I always tell people, I don't like speaking about things which I've never experienced before. And I need you first to discover the barrier breaker in me. And for me to do that, I'm going to bring in a very good friend of mine. She's a sister in Christ. She's going to get us into what you would say snippets of what will happen in the next couple of weeks, but you discovering who Nyeleti Yamasase is. There's a journey that which I have traveled for God to have chosen me for this generation, for God to say, go and fight until they understand that there are barriers. So join me after the break as I go into a conversation that will make you discover who Nyeleti Yamasase is and why she is a barrier breaker. I'll see you after this.
You are watching Truway Television.
Viewers at home, welcome back to Becoming a Barrier Breaker with me, Nyeleti Yamasase. I have a friend who's joining me right now, who is going to let you into my life just a little bit. She has a question or two, for you to discover me a little bit better. She's going to help you get an answer of who is a barrier breaker. And as a vision bearer of barrier breaker, some people are probably wondering, is she sucking this thing out of her thumb? Did she really hear from God? Did she go through some things that had made her to become a barrier breaker? So I'm going to introduce to you to my friend Tabisa. She's here to chill with me in this segment, so then she can ask me a couple of questions. My friend, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, my friend. And congratulations on taking such a big step. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
And may God just like keep on blessing you and showing himself more in your life.
Thank you.
Now, I have obviously went through your book and I just want to read, firstly, just before we continue, what really like touched me. Nyeleti Yamasase is in a conversation with God. He said to me, when I asked, why me? Why are you choosing a filthy rag like me to go deliver a message of hope when you could have chosen a more worthy woman? And he said, you are a product underway, along with every other broken woman who is down and out. I want you to hold their hand and allow them to hold on to me and get to a place of restoration. That, my friend, I was like, it touched my heart. And I felt like I was one of those women, having known you after having an encounter in your book. And then I felt like I resonate with you so much, not just in the book, but also I felt like I had barriers myself that I did not know that were there, you know. And okay, so basically I just want to ask you a few questions. But just before we go there, what is a barrier breaker? What is a barrier breaker?
A barrier breaker in my eyes is a person, one who's resilient, a persistent person. In my eyes, a barrier breaker is a person who, while they're being persistent, they will be disappointed, they fall. When they get up, they say, I will hold on one more day. There's a phrase that I use all the time. I say, hold on one more day. And probably people are thinking I'm saying, hold on one more day, tomorrow it will get better. A barrier breaker needs to know that a hold on one more day in the eyes of God and in your eyes is not the same. What you are doing at the time, you are saying, I am giving you, God, time to complete that which you have begun in me. But that wall will go down. In my eyes, that's what makes a barrier breaker.
Wow.
That's what makes a barrier breaker.
So would you say as someone who was once in a space of brokenness, would you say in that space that you felt like a barrier breaker? Because I have read your book and there's a lot that you have unpacked there. But did you ever feel like a barrier breaker?
I don't think, like you say, when you read that statement where I had a conversation with God, when I was writing Our Wedding in Cana, and I love that book so much because I tell people all the time that I feel like he was writing, the only thing I was doing is to listen to him, right? So I asked, you know, I mean, I'm so filthy. I used this word in our language, if you go into my book, there's an issue of the water jars. So I was taking from that. At the time when I was going through that, there was nowhere where I felt like I'm a barrier breaker. In fact, I felt deserted. There were times where I would ask God, Kanti, what did I do wrong? You know, when you come from a family where everything is okay and I have to go through one thing after another, ask anyone. This is what Gideon says to God. Why me? Because my family is the smallest in Manasseh. What he was saying to God is that I've never had to fight this kind of battles. Why would you expect me to go and fight not just one person, an entire nation that has been tormenting us? At the time, my friend, when I was going through all of that, this moment right here, I did not even think about it. The only thing at some point I wanted to do was to kill myself. I know I dropped it like that.
Thank you so much. But then you continue, and God says to you, fight every other obstacle ever built to stop you from seeing whom I had in mind when I created them. In this show, I aim to take people through a journey of healing. We are going to expose the wounds a little bit with an intention to heal before it rots and it becomes a reason why we cannot be whom God created us. I am coming for broken dreams, deserted visions, scattered vessels of God to go back with me to Cana. A place where God said to me is a place of restoration. Everything ran out, but He promises a great refill. Only if we be bold and intentional. He is awaiting and waiting for us, using these 3 hashtags: hashtag labor pains, hashtag new wine, hashtag events in the journey. I will go on a journey of healing with every viewer, and young and old, and young man and old woman, until they seek to start their own journey of healing.
That's the whole purpose. Viewers at home, if there's one intention I come carrying within myself, those who know me, they know I say this all the time: you must be an intentional person. The intention that I have, it is for someone to heal. I know how not being in a position where you have healed can derail you. When you stay in a place where you know dreams have died, can derail you. The one thing that I want, and the reason I mentioned young and old, it is simply because I have encountered old people in my life. When in the journey that God took me in the last 2 years, it has been a blissful one, but sometimes it was surprising that why would this woman say to me, after you spoke, you know, you gave back the hope that I had, the one thing that God promised me, and I'm not going to do it. Let's get one thing straight: I will not speak and you wake up tomorrow and you say, I am healed. I am not here to do that. God says, I want to take you in a journey with these people, because you yourself, you are a product underway. But only intentional people, you know what you've been intentional about. You know what you're intentional about. So somebody, if they hear every other guest that I will bring in every other week, and with my story to go with that, with everything I've ever written, and they say, if she can stand, so can I. I will not let my marriage die like this. I am here to stand, and until God tells me why I am here. My womb, that somebody has already said that we cannot do anything about it, I will do it. Like I said, it's not just about me, but there's a generation. Do you know there are people who are living their lives, they're okay with saying, in this family we only give birth after. Who said that to you? I'm here to tell someone that that's not what God said. He is a God whom incarna a reputation which was about to be tarnished. When I was writing the book, He said to me, I restore. At the wedding in Cana, people were starting to speak and say, why did they even start this whole thing of a wedding in the first place? Because we know wine is the most important thing. So I'm not here to speak to anyone and they wake up tomorrow and they say it is done. No, I want people to be intentional. And they say, if Yamasase, if Sister Bisa can do it, if any other person who's ever been here can do it, so can I. That's the whole thing.
I have one last question for you.
Yes.
You know, we are living in this generation. There's a lot of broken young people, broken homes, broken students. You find students even at a teenage age, they are broken. We come to a space and encounter a space where a 9-year-old and a 10-year-old had committed suicide in our generation. And I love what God is doing in you. And you know, when I was looking at your book, there is where you said, not with my generation. You know, there's a lot of silence about what is happening out there. Our leaders are mostly healing the symptoms, not the actual problem. And now you are waking us up that it's not just about the symptoms, it's about the actual problem, which is these vessels of God that are broken, that need to go back to God. Now, my question to you, when you say not with my generation, not with this generation, and which is something that trying to wake us up, that God still works in this generation.
Amen.
God still speaks because He spoke to you in this generation. When you said that, what is it that God said to you when He said not with this generation?
How I know that He said not with this generation, it's when I was asking the question of why me, because I'm a raggedy person, you know, I'm all of that, right? And then when He said to me that along with every other broken person, I want you to go take them with you. When He said that, I knew that it's not just my thing. I don't have to stand so then people can praise and say, Nyeleti stood. I may have done so great in speaking until they resurrect before I even do, because it was not even about me. That's how I knew. So when one gets into a place where you understand when God speaks to you, you will stand and firmly say that. I still say it today, not with my generation.
Amen.
Viewers at home, I think, in fact, I know that this has given you, as an idea of what we're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks. We're going to be taking you in this journey. We're going to continue with the conversation. Thank you, Sister Bisa, for sitting with me and let them know the kind of barrier breaker that I am. Are you a barrier breaker sitting at home? Is there something that has been troubling you and you're thinking, maybe I don't have the strength enough? I want to say this in accordance with what she just said. You know, when we are healing the symptoms and we are living the whole thing. One day, Elisha, when the elders in Jericho, they said to him, you know, the town is okay, it's all good, but there's something wrong with the water. He went to the source. Go back to the source. Go back to the source and just say to him, God, why am I going through this? If there's one favor I did for myself, I said I will not go through it if it is not for a reason. From me, Nyeleti Amasase Munisi, I say join me next time when we continue the journey of healing. Hashtag new wine, hashtag labor pains, hashtag it's possible. Hold on one more day until we meet next time. Good night.
You are watching Truway Television.